Hi, guys. We are here today with the famous Asad Butt, who is a chairman at Pets on Q. He is a member of our board, and he has worked with everyone in the pet industry, and everyone loves and knows him. That is a brand trying to build their company in the pet space. You know of Asad Butt. He is big time. Hi, Asad.
Hi,
Yeah.
Colleen. No, this is great, and thanks for having me. And looking forward to our conversation. And obviously, you are also an impressive entrepreneur, one of the many people that I've worked with over the years. So excited for this conversation.
Yeah, and I'm super pumped that we were able to steal you on and have you be a part of Pets on Q. So I
Yeah,
feel really
totally.
blessed that we can work together.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go through. And this whole thing is just really talking about how you work with animals and animal talent and more for brands. And I think we just want to know about you. So tell everyone about yourself.
Yeah, I've quite a crazy background. So I started my career in broadcast journalism and video production for about 10 years, kind of like creating corporate videos and commercials and being a presenter and a TV host and all that kind of stuff. And then I spent the last 10 years working in startups, and so helping companies like yours, like ours, get off the ground, running what's called accelerator programs. And it wasn't until about 5 years ago where I started working in the pet care space. I was a new pet owner to my dog Jackson, which is not the dog that you see in this picture. And if Jackson saw this, he would get very jealous. But I started working in the pet care space, helping startups in the pet care space get early traction, early revenue, early investment money. And I've been doing that I did that for about 3 years. And in the last couple of years, I've just been advising startups in the pet care space as well. So, across the board, whether it's pet food, pet tech, things like what you're doing and what we're doing at Pets on Q, like just across the board, people with cool ideas and trying to get to the next level, whatever that next level may be.
Who are some of the coolest companies that you think you've worked with?
Well, other than Pets on Q.
Yeah, I mean, you could drop that. I mean, you don't have to say Pets on Q. But
No, I mean, it's funny because I think Pets on Q was one of the first companies that I actually met in this journey of advising pet care startups. And
really?
yeah, I think so, because you had been talking with our counterparts at Leap, which
Yeah.
is a venture studio accelerator program. And when I joined, you had been having conversations for a couple months, and everybody really loved what you were doing, and they were like, you should really, like get to know Colleen. I think this was like right
This is
around the time.
yeah, pre Pet Stars, pre
Pre,
all of
yeah,
that.
I think
Yeah,
we were
before we
like
even spoke about that.
just started having conversations with Netflix or the production company about Pet
Mhm.
Stars and all that kind of stuff. And so, you were actually my first foray into understanding the influencer economy in general, which is kind of crazy, right? So this must have been, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And so you were talking about all these things I had no clue about: quality followers and just like all, posting on Instagram and like how much that costs versus all the other things. So for me, it was a huge learning experience just because, in the pet care space, there are all these niche products, right? And so, what you were doing was so unique and is so unique at the time. So definitely, obviously, Pets on Q. Other companies that I met, back in the day, one that I really love still is called Sniff Spot. Have you heard of
Yeah.
Sniff Spot? So,
Yeah. And they're going viral right now on TikTok. They've been
oh,
doing
are
such a good
they?
job. Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
they've been working with loads of influencers on promoting, like if they have aggressive dogs and where they can go, and that's just kind of a big thing in the dog space. They've been doing a really good job.
Yeah, essentially Sniff Spot is like Airbnb for your backyard. And so you can rent out your backyard or your property to an animal, a pet parent, so that their animal can run outside off leash. And we've used it for Jackson a couple times. One time we rented like an acre farm just for him to run around, and like for an hour, for it was like $15. And so, Jackson, my little Boston Terrier, just like absolutely loved it. Like how often can I live in the city in Portland, and so like we have a small backyard, but for him to just like have this huge property that he could run around in, it's just like so awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I
dogs
so
are,
like should tell people, like if you have a brand or an idea in the pet space, so like speaking to someone like an Azad who really knows how to get you from, the really early stages, like I was, it was like I think it was over 5 years ago that we first spoke.
yeah,
It was crazy.
probably, yeah.
and like really just where to go. And Asad has been advising me. I mean, before he even came on, it took a long time to convince him to come on. That he'd been advising me for, I mean, it's been 5 years now on and off. And, you know, someone like him is just a great resource for you if you wanted to start a pet brand and then promote your pet brand out to the masses. And that's, you know, who's Atkinson. Thinking loads of questions if you click the next button, though.
Oh, really? Oh,
Mary Kate has been putting in a, well, you kind of just answered this. How did you get started in the pet industry?
I went too far ahead. Yeah. So, yeah, I think, you know, so for me, yeah, I started essentially. So this is a funny story, and that is my wife forced me, had an ultimatum that we had to get a dog. And I did not want a dog. I did not want a pet. I never grew up with pets. And then, as you now know, Colleen, like I'm obsessed with pets, and as you know, I like you. And then, you know, 2 years after we got that dog, I got my first job in the pet care industry. And so for her, she's like, my work is done. I've done it. You know, you are now working in the pet care industry. So
my gosh, so can we do the same thing with my husband and get him into the pet industry? He grew up with like no pets. He doesn't understand it.
You got to give him the ultimatum, Colleen. That's the way that it worked for me.
I mean, we already have a ring. How do you ultimatum someone?
And you know, Colleen, I cashed in my ultimatum. The ultimatum she gave me, I cashed them all in. She gave me a couple, and I cashed them all in for the little baby that we're about to have. So, you know, that was the way that I got back. But anyway, so so that's how I got started. Honestly, for me, it was all about networking and you know, using my previous experience, my previous expertise in startups and in helping companies get off the ground. And for me, it was right place at right time. This big company was looking for someone that had my expertise, and I joined and helped them, you know, connect with startups. So that's kind of how I got started in the industry.
And you also grew that, like pretty much that whole program. You were in the start of it. Here, let me see. We have a question. How do you recommend networking for a startup?
First of all, this software is pretty cool, but
right? Isn't it pretty cool? I mean, if you can log in, because it takes us 15 minutes to get it going, but
totally, yeah. I mean, I think the best way that you can network for a startup is, I mean, so I think there's a couple things. One, in every city in the country now, there are local entrepreneurship clubs or organizations. Join them. There's one here in Portland, Oregon, that I'm a part of called Oregon Entrepreneurship Network. They have events on a regular basis, and just show up and you start talking to other entrepreneurs, investors, advisors, and you start growing your network that way. And for me, the big thing is you want to be going in there with a question like, hey, I just updated my financial model, or I'm trying out this marketing idea. I would love your feedback. And that's the way to really build your network, is to ask questions, get advice from people. And because everybody wants to help, right? And I think like going in there with a specific ask to people, you know, that's the way to build your network. Go ahead, Colleen, you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say, I kind of felt the same way. And I also think that there are groups, especially in niches like the one that I'm in, like Leap, even if you're not involved in that or not, and you know, being invested in by that company, I'm still in it. They're not investing in me, but I'm kind of part of it. Like they'll ask me to come and talk to them, or with Purina as well. And they'll ask me to come in and help their other brands with influencer marketing and give advice and all of that. And that's how they become aware of our services and then hire influencers next. So, or animal actor. So whichever one you do. So, and here, click the next one so we get to the next question, because I'm sure we're going to be going by all these questions. What startups have you worked with?
Oh, nice. We talked a little bit about that. Yeah. So I've worked with dozens and dozens of startups. So primarily I started out in education, and then moved into pet care. So the pet care space, you know, obviously companies like you, there's a bunch of food companies that I've worked with. So Native Pet comes to mind. You've met Dan and Pat from Native Pet.
Yeah.
And then
I think it's Super Zoo.
She's Pets. There's who was a CBD company that was on your show? CBD.
I have Mom Brain.
Yeah. I have whatever brain you want to call.
Oh my gosh! And I have a flu right now.
Pet Relief.
Oh my god, that's Pet Relief. Oh my gosh! Yeah, there's right? Steve. Yes.
Steve.
Like I go to Steve, not the name of the company.
Other companies that I've really liked in the space, one out of LA called Dog Drop, which is doing kind of like a Starbucks model
Thanks,
of
MK.
say again.
So thanks, MK. There's a pet
Oh,
relief shoes.
Pet Relief. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dog Drop is kind of doing like they're a doggy daycare, but like small shop doggy daycare. And the
Yeah.
goal is to kind of like be like, you know, a Starbucks have one, you know, on every corner, so that, you know, millennials like you, when they're going to, instead of dropping off your dog for the whole day at the doggy daycare, you can just drop it off for an hour or two while you're going to your spin class or while you're taking, you know, going food shopping and stuff like that, and which is great for the dog and great for, you know, for busy millennials as well. Yeah, I wonder, Colleen, what startups have you worked with Pets on Q?
Oh my gosh, all of them. I mean, no, not really all of them, but we worked with a lot of them. Yeah, so like I've definitely spoken to Sniff Spot them before. The push buttons. There's a lot of like interactive toys, like Brightkin. There's like 6 of them now, but it started with Brightkins, and then there's a few other talking pet products. We do have a lot of pets on our roster that do that.
Totally.
I'm just trying to think of the ones but we don't just work with pet products. So I mean, like Quick Shine's a client of ours, and I mean, I just keep thinking of that because that's an active campaign we're working on right now. It's also kind of our down season. Like this is beginning of the year is a little bit slower. Loads of dog food, like from Farmer's Dog all the way to, you know, Purina, Makana Pets. We're doing some campaigns and looking for influencers now. Like, what are the really cool? I did like working with Pet Relief. Their team was really, really nice. We've done a lot of CBD products. I just kind of think like my Magic Carpet, which is a really cool rug that you can wash. I like that. Like, what are some of the really cool ones? I really liked Brightkins products. Like, and personally, like I have some, so I really like their products.
I was surprised when we were working together last year of that music producer that was using Pets on Q, which, you know, I don't know if we want to share a little bit about that. I think that's really interesting to me.
Mill's chiming in with Purina. We love Purina. I mean, like, honestly, we've worked with them and they have so many different products and they put so much research into their stuff. And I actually really love like kind of what companies they're working with now, and, you know, just like a cat DNA and the things that they're, the animal biome. I really love them. I love the owners. For the music collab, that went crazy viral. So one of the influencers had, you know, 45 million views on one video and, you know, millions on another.
That's crazy.
So yeah, what we did was work with a music company that represented a bunch of artists, and Joji was one of them. And we did campaigns for them for, you know, 6 or 7 other of their artists who are also very famous. But the Glimpse of Us, we did their TikTok campaign and tried to make it go viral. So we had to come up with a story on, you know, what the different influencers are going to be promoting, just basically like the one that went crazy viral was their past dog and their current dog now, and they were doing the same thing. And it was over this really sad, beautiful song that went viral, and it ended up being one of the #1 hits on TikTok for a really long time. Ended up being a Spotify charting, made them a lot of money for what they invested into it. And that's a great case study that we have the music collab. That was, and that's really cool to like work with artists, because we typically only work with musicians, like with animals music videos, but promoting their songs too is kind of like full circle.
Totally. I feel like the pet care industry just touches on every aspect of the economy. Like, it doesn't matter, film, music, you know, like you see them in car ads all the time. Like, it's
cleaning products. Like, we do cars, cleaning products, even like grocery stores. Like, it's just, I mean, the marketing that's needed and like the animals that are needed to promote those things, it just kind of is own stuff. Yeah, let's go to the next question. I think wait, what tips do you have for brands when working with animal talent?
I mean, I think that you could probably answer this better than I could, but I think, you know, from if I was a startup working with an animal talent, I think for me the biggest advice I can give is start early and understand that, like, you know, especially if it's your first time doing something, like, like anything, it's a process that you have to learn, right? Like, and really being clear on your expectations and communications. And so I guess, for me, like, the #1 tip for a brand is don't think that, I mean, we can do it because we can do everything, but like, don't think that you're going to call up someone today and get them to post something tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
like you got to give yourself some time and some, some and time and energy to create the best campaign. And so,
Yeah.
start months in advance. Like if you are thinking about a Christmas campaign, start in September. If you're thinking
Yeah.
about something for the summer, you should probably be thinking about what you want to do now and what that campaign looks like and who do you want to
Mhm.
work with. And I think that to me is the biggest tip. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Colleen?
Yeah, and I think a lot of I definitely timing and definitely expectations. Like you don't want to, I'm just doubling down on that one because you don't want to be spending $50 on a campaign and think that you're going to get this huge viral thing and fully sell out. You're not, especially if you don't know the analytics of the animals that you're hiring and if they actually are of value to you or not. And I feel like that's my big tip is actually like hire us.
Yeah, totally.
Work with professionals that have an entire network that vets the animals, that animal talent that helps them, and you be able to communicate properly and have this proper flow back and forth of a system that's been working for 10 plus
Totally.
years. And be able to protect yourself. I think that that's super, super important. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would just add also one other thing is that I think people should experiment as well, and
Mm-hmm.
and so if you have a budget of say $10,000, for let's say your summer campaign for influencers, set aside 1,000 for maybe like an animal that you might not otherwise choose, but just to see what could happen, or set aside 2 buckets of $500 to experiment with maybe a different region or a different type of animal or different type of
Yeah.
content, because those little experiments could pay off, in the long run for sure.
Yeah. And that actually just happened to a brand of ours.
No,
And
no way.
they were like, my budget is this. And then all the animals that came in, they're like, oh, you know what? I really just like a couple of these other guys that are great. Like, let's just try them out. I'm going to increase my budget by, $500. I'm going to hire these 3 or 4 other influencers. And one of those influencers ended up outperforming one of the highest
No,
paid
that's awesome.
influencers.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
now they are locking that influencer into a longer term contract
That's great.
because of that, which is great. It's like
Yeah,
those things are
totally.
just awesome.
Yeah, totally. Amazing. Should we
Okay.
keep going?
Yeah, I feel like we end up answering the question before.
The importance
What's
of
the
Also, I
We're
love the
just
picture.
psychic. Yeah, that's a Basenji. I love Basenjis.
Oh,
There.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we are still in early days for all influencer marketing, right? Like this industry is what, less than 10 years old, I'm
Yeah.
guessing. And so, I think that like all other forms of marketing, you got to be playing in influencer marketing. And I think that like just like you would aim to get a TV ad or a radio ad or a podcast ad or print ad, like influencers now another part of this arsenal. And it's something that you can actually get good metrics on compared to other marketing outlets, right? Like you can see your impact pretty quickly on different campaign types. So I think that if you're not doing it, start experimenting now. And obviously, we can help you with that. And then if you are doing it, I think experimenting with things outside of what you're actually doing, right now with, as I just mentioned, with different buckets of money for different types of influencers or animals or types of campaigns. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's hugely important. And, for brand managers, like you got to be playing in the influencer marketing arena.
Yeah. And if you don't know how to play in the influencer marketing arena, especially the pet influencer marketing arena, Asad's helped us make some changes and adjustments within our company that will benefit you because, I mean, he comes from the educational background and really identified that the brands coming to us really also needed assistance. And we didn't have the time or manpower to help with that assistance. And now we do.
Yeah.
So we do have an agency model that you can hire us. We will come in and teach your team how to do it. And, it takes your first campaign is typically 4 to 6 weeks. And we do strategy calls throughout that, teaching your team how to do that. So yeah, that is definitely something new that Asad helped come and bring into the company. So thanks, Asad.
Yeah. I think I would also say that like, you've heard me say this before, but I think it's like your approach should be similar to that of your approach to like a PR company. Like you're hiring someone as a partner, whether that's in-house or an outside agency,
Mhm.
for the long term. Like, yeah, maybe you'll get lucky and you hire a PR agency and you get a placement in the New York Times next month. But
Mhm.
like, what you really want is to build out that strategy and be consistent in that campaign over multiple months and multiple years.
Mhm.
And I think that approach is how you should be approaching influencer marketing as well. Like, you should be doing something on a regular basis, and then you investing in it more during your busiest times, which we see is typically towards end of year. Is that right, Colleen? Is the
Yeah.
busiest time?
I would
And
say like prior to that, because we start gearing up for that probably fall.
fall,
Yeah,
yeah.
last quarter of the year. Q3, Q4 is our heaviest, but Q3 is right behind it.
Yeah, and the more that you can kind of build this process into it, like the easier it is towards end of year and beyond. So yeah, for me, like, this is something that it's not just a one-off thing that you're doing once a year. You're hiring 5 influencers. Like, it should really be a part of your monthly strategy and approach to things.
Agreed. I double down on that.
Next
slide.
Oh, have you worked with animal talent? Honestly, outside of Pets on Q, I have not, but I have been thinking about it a little bit more as I've been thinking about promoting other content, and so yeah, I haven't personally, but obviously you have, Colleen.
Yeah, just a few. We have access to over 10,000 different animals. So
Totally.
yeah, we've quite a few, and I feel like you also have a successful podcast and promoting that, and that I'll help you out and give you free access. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, and it's something that I've been thinking about in terms of we've done influencer stuff before, but we haven't done pet specific, and I'm really interested in figuring out the right strategy, because like a lot of our listeners, a lot of our undoubtedly have a pet, right? And so like, who do you trust more than your favorite pet?
Yeah,
that's that you follow on social media.
Actually follow someone on TikTok, and I saw a video that she posted recently about a podcast that she was listening to, and was like, don't walk, run to go listen to this podcast because of XYZ.
Yeah, totally.
And I did go listen to the podcast because of it. And I was like, you influenced me to do this.
Totally.
And this is what I do.
Yeah, agreed. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, I think so. When you're ready to do that, I would probably go the TikTok route because of what my behavior awesome. That just happened.
Yeah, that's awesome. Nice.
TikTok. Yeah. Yep. If you have an animal-based podcast, too,
I know, right? Yeah, definitely thinking about it for sure.
Mel makes a good podcast. I'm just saying.
Oh, right, that's right.
What's your favorite story while working in the pet industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was trying to think about this. I think there's a couple. One is we worked with a startup a couple of years ago where we got to know them over the course of a year and really help shape their business plan and strategy. And the relationship went so well that the company that I worked for, Mars Pet Care, ended up acquiring them within a year because everything went so well. So for me, something like that, and that was something that the founder and entrepreneur wanted. I thought that was, for me, a great story.
The one that begins with a W? Is it Dave's company?
No, it's okay. It was Pet Hospice. I don't
know okay. Yeah.
Okay. And then I think the second best story that I think you had Amy on last week. We with Amy, we created this female founder boot camp a couple of years ago, and that was awesome. We brought together 15 female founders and put them through a boot camp, and then at the end of it, we gave everybody a free grant to help fund their startup. And for me, that was an awesome experience, especially because it's really hard for female founders, especially in the pet care industry, to get investment money, as you know, and so that was a really special thing that we did for sure.
Okay, Asad and Amy are two of my favorite people, so you guys should go watch Amy's as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Amy is she is a shaker in the industry, and did my thing just freeze? This is the second time that this has happened to me.
Oh yeah, you're frozen.
Where it freezes again, and it's always a great pose. It's always a great pose, but yeah, no, I think I go through my favorite story with working with you and Amy. I'm going to just focus on that one, is that we were able to work and bring, I think it's been over 30 kittens on different, on different events that needed kittens. And we basically temperament test them, get them all adopted. And the funds for the adoptions ended up spaying and neutering. It was over 1,000 cats that we were able to do and give money back to the nonprofit. So I just love when people come together. And I did attend that woman's event, but I was only there for one of the days.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
But I wasn't one of the grant recipients. I'm not that cool.
I think you were busy with the Netflix stuff.
I think we were filming, or I had just flown back from South Africa.
Oh, maybe that. Oh, yeah, that was it. Right. Yeah. Oh, just your wedding, nothing.
Just getting married, on the other side of the world, because my life is normal.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, but I think that's one of my favorite when it comes to like you and Amy and all that. But there's plenty of
Amy's a rock star, and I told her a couple of years ago that I think she needs to run for political office because she would be awesome. She
would be awesome, and now she's in Arizona, where she would definitely make a difference.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. She would be really good. Asad, I'm going to double down on that. So I think we're going to be at the Q&A section next.
Oh, cool.
Does anyone have any questions? Oh, yes, we were. Let me stop my video and try to restart it.
Okay.
Let's see. Does anyone have any questions for Asad? And if not, well, I'm just frozen. It's okay. What do you? I have questions for you because I have you here.
I can ask you questions.
Yeah, you could ask me questions, but this is the thing. I'm supposed to be interviewing you. Well, so I have a startup, right? Oh, how do you start a pet company? A question came in. Oh, okay, fine. We'll answer this one.
How do you start? I mean, it comes down to an idea and figuring out what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and trying to figure out whether it's not just you that has the problem, but multiple people, and whether or not you can, create a business around it. And so for me, I think this is kind of a broad question, but at a high level, figuring out what your problem is, figuring out whether you can provide that solution, and then creating whatever is what we call, in the industry, like the minimum viable product. What is the smallest thing that you can produce to prove that someone is willing to pay for, your product? So if let's think about pet food, maybe you want to create a new pet food that's solving the problem of, dogs having digestive issues. And so you're trying to create a, vegan pet food, new vegan pet food brand. Well, my advice to you to start that would be, start creating some samples in your home and giving it to friends or family friends and getting reaction as to whether they like that or not. Maybe open up a stand at a farmer's market and see if people are willing to buy it. And so what is the least amount of thing that you can do to validate whether not only is this a problem, but someone is willing to pay for it? I guess that would be and then, what we talked about
market
earlier,
research.
Networking. Yeah. Networking.
Well, so from your idea that you just had, I'm like, oh, I know 15 companies that are trying to solve that right now. And there's a bunch of little startups that are trying to do it. With, the animals and their gut biome is going to be the next trend that's coming out. And a lot of promotions are going to be going around about that. So if you're trying to get into that space and you don't know that part, you definitely kind of be hurting yourself there. Totally. What kind of a percentage or budget should a brand allocate to influencer marketing? I've literally seen everything for this. So, sometimes people have a monthly budget, sometimes people have an annual budget that they stick to, but it tends to be very fluid. That's my
I don't know what the right answer to that question. You would know better than me, but I think that probably 10 to 20% of your your marketing budget, but we've as you said, we've seen more and we've seen less as well. I think that I think for each brand you have to figure out what is working for you, and yeah, I guess what I would say is that you want it to be a part of your marketing budget, and then figuring out whether that's 20% or 60%. And for some brands it'll be more, and for some it'll be less.
Okay, and I'm going to finish it out with a final question. And with what you've done at Pets on Q, what do you think it has the most? Like, what type of question am I asking? Like, of all the things that you've done with us, what are you looking forward to the most about Pets on Q and the changes that we've made? And like, what do you think and keep in mind, like, some of the changes have still not even been announced. What do you think the audience or audiences will take away the most from the changes that we're making?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things. One, I mean, I think that
I'm so stuck.
I think upgrading our technology is exciting. We'll be able to get Colleen a camera that works.
No.
But I think that well, I mean, yeah, tech. I think the product we're constantly making updates to our platform, and I think that it's going to be, the new release will make things a lot easier for brands and for influencers themselves. And I think this idea of using your expertise and the team's expertise of knowing what prices work and what prices don't. Like, I think that the improvements that we're making to let the pet influencers essentially, price themselves and essentially create their own little businesses, through our platform is going to be amazing, and I think hugely influential. And I think the things that you did to create the animal list is awesome. We essentially, Colleen, in a matter of 24 hours, created a platform.
It was weeks, Asad, and a lot of planning. I know you're giving me a lot of credit.
I feel like you did it overnight, but
I did do it extremely fast. I just, had a lot of coffee and, got that part done. But I actually was just thinking about the animal list and, some of the, because I mean, we're still beta testing it right now. Yeah. And I mean, my one, and I haven't even talked to you about this, my one kind of pushback right now is being able to let anyone put their animal on, but the ones that are verified, we need to have a verification on it. So I need to go back into development mode and figure out how to implement that, which is,
But, I think going back to how to start a business, I mean, this animal list is essentially like a platform that we created for people to produce, for producers to find and book animals for on-set work. And, going back to what we were talking about, how do you start, a business in the pet care space? Like, this is essentially, what Colleen did with the animal list is within a couple of weeks, she got something up to start getting feedback from people. And now we're going on to version 2 of it because she's got feedback from people. And, now that it's out there, and we'll make changes and release the new version. And, so, I think that there's a lot of exciting things happening at Pets on Q. And, I think this year is going to be pretty cool for what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Asad. Let me just hide myself from the stream.
Uh-oh. Now I lost you. Am I now the only one on the podcast, on the video? Colleen, I can't hear you if you're on there.
Oh, I'm still here. I just thought that if I hit my video that you could still hear me for some reason. Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Asad. This was awesome, and I hope to do it with you again.
Yeah, let's do it again. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and next week we are talking to, I love that you brought up a food brand. We're talking to probably the most innovative pet products coming out this year is the owner of Archie. His name is Scott. We just shot his commercial with about 8 of our dogs, and hopefully we'll be doing his influencer marketing campaign coming up soon. It is basically, I mean, the best thing I say is like a Keurig for your dog's food.
Ooh,
but it's do you not know about this product?
I think I heard about it, but I haven't seen it in action yet. Yeah, that's awesome.
It is. So he's launching very, very soon, and it is so innovative, and even our actors, our animal actors and the trainers not the actors, but the owners and the trainers that went on set were like, this is the coolest product. They're only doing a limited release. And like, I want one.
That's awesome.
So I'm
I want
excited to have him.
Totally. That's great.
Yeah. Well, he will be on our live next week. Great. Unless it's the holiday, then it's the week after. But thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Appreciate it. And we will talk to you all soon.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.